Hello friends, and let's get started.
From the very first steps inside, the club swallowed them with a wall of bass, heavy, pounding like another heartbeat. Lasers cut through the darkness. Flashes of light caught faces in the crowd, and it felt like the whole room was breathing in one rhythm. Dean held Vanessa's hand, weaving through the packed mass of bodies, people dancing, drinking, scanning the crowd for someone. "This place is insane," Vanessa shouted straight into his ear, her voice barely carrying over the music. She wore a short black dress that shimmered under the spotlights. Her hair spilled down her shoulders, her eyes sparkling like she was already expecting the night to spin out of control. Dean just smirked. Clubs were never really his thing. But he came for her. Let her unwind. Let her feel the celebration. They reached the bar. Without hesitation, Vanessa ordered herself a double rum cocktail, then another, this time tequila. She took the first sip, closed her eyes, exhaled. "God, I am so tired of always being proper. Tonight, I just want to let go and have fun, you know?" Dean raised a brow but stayed quiet. Her voice already had that too bright, too loose tone he knew well. That was how she always sounded once the alcohol started kicking in. "I'll be back in a minute." He leaned closer. "Bathroom." Vanessa waved him off. "Go. I'll be right here." He headed down the corridor, but glanced back one more time. She was already perched on a high bar stool, swinging her leg to the beat, reaching for another glass. The crowd was swelling thicker by the minute. The DJ cranked up the BPM, and the room detonated. People jumped, shouted, whistled. The air was heavy with alcohol, perfume, and something sharp, almost sweet. A spotlight swept across the floor and caught Vanessa, arms in the air, twirling with her drink. For a second, it looked like the entire club was watching only her. Dean pushed forward, shoulder to shoulder with the restless crowd, and a thought flickered. She's getting carried away fast. Meanwhile, Vanessa was laughing with the bartender, who winked as he poured her another cocktail. She downed half in one go, felt warmth spread through her body, and sprang to her feet. The crowd pulled her in. The music shoved her from behind. She stepped on the dance floor and melted into the rhythm. Her moves grew sharper, her dress flashing under the strobes, hair clinging to her temples. She felt the eyes on her, approving, greedy, hungry, and she liked it. To hell with it, she yelled to herself through the music and burst out laughing. She threw her arms above her head, dancing like she was 20 again, like there'd be no tomorrow. Applause, whistles, shouts rose around her, but she did not care. Nothing mattered except this moment, this fire inside. Dean, in the meantime, stood at the bathroom mirror, splashing cold water on his face. Damn, she is going to get wasted. Better get back fast. He wiped his hands on a paper towel, tossed it in the bin, and started back. But on the dance floor, Vanessa had already climbed onto the bar. Her sandals slid over the polished surface. The music drowned out everything. Reason, restraint, caution. Her eyes gleamed. Her cheeks burned with liquor and adrenaline. Tonight, she was ready to throw herself headfirst into the night. Brakes long gone. The lights hit her square in the face as Vanessa rose above the crowd. She stood on the bar, one hand gripping a column, laughing straight into the chaos of the club. Music slammed into her ears, bass thundering in her chest, so hard it felt like her heart no longer belonged to her. The crowd noticed her instantly. "Whoa!" roared from every direction. Whistles, applause, shouts of excitement. She snapped her hips a few times, tossed her hair over her shoulder, and lifted her glass high above her head. Liquor splashed over the rim, but she did not care. Her face was glowing, her eyes alive with fire. In that moment, Vanessa was queen of the dance floor, and no one could challenge her crown. Hands stretched toward her as if she were a stage, a star, an idol of the night. Guys whistled, girls shot jealous glances. Every ounce of attention in the room locked on her. That S when he appeared from the shadows by the bar. Tyler, broad shoulders, a confident stride, eyes that burned right through you. The kind who never asked, only took. The crowd seemed to part on its own as he moved toward the bar. He did not shout, did not make a scene, just stood close and reached up his hand. Vanessa smirked, caught his palm, and let herself be pulled a little closer to the edge. She danced, her body twisting to the beat, and he, never breaking eye contact, slid his hands onto her waist. At first it was subtle, almost casual, but his grip tightened, and Vanessa did not push him away. If anything, she leaned toward him. The crowd erupted louder. Someone shouted, "Now that is hot." The noise fueled her even more. She threw her head back, laughed, and let him steady her as her body moved with the rhythm. The alcohol had stripped away her caution. Courage surged in her veins, and the weight of his hands did not feel like a boundary. It felt like fuel. Tyler's stare never wavered. His grin was not just interest, it was a challenge. He stood so close that every gesture, every breath seemed to say, "Tonight, you re-mine." And she felt it, loved the dozens of eyes locked on her. Men wishing they were Tyler, women wishing they were her. "You re-blowing my mind, baby," he shouted in her ear, his voice cutting through the bass. She did not even answer, just smiled, leaning in, testing whether he was ready to hold her tighter. He was. The crowd roared. Bartenders exchanged quick looks, but no one stopped it. On the contrary, the audience wanted more. The show was not enough. Vanessa raised her arms, arched her back, her dress catching the spotlight like a spark. Tyler's hand slid higher along her back, the other still firm on her waist. It was all skirting the edge, but in a place where everyone came chasing adrenaline. Scenes like this were the night's true fuel. She danced closer, teasing him, testing herself. She knew the alcohol had pushed her past reason into reckless abandon. The music, the crowd, this man, everything urged her to cross the line where it was no longer dancing, but something more. In that moment, Dean did not exist in her mind. He melted into the haze of the club, as if he'd never been there. It was only the rhythm, her body, and Tyler's hands. The crowd roared, the music pounded, and in the center of it all, Vanessa moved with Tyler, as if the world had shrunk down to just the two of them. He held her firmly, keeping her balanced, leaning close to her ear and almost shouting, "Want something a little more exciting?" His voice was rough, but cut through the noise. Vanessa met his gaze and laughed. The sound was sharp, bright, like a glass striking crystal. "Why not?" she breathed, swaying slightly. The alcohol was in full command now. The walls felt softer, the music sweeter, and every decision she made seemed light, without consequence. Tyler jumped down from the bar and reached out his hand. She let herself slide into his arms, right into his grip. The crowd erupted with cheers, clapping like they were watching a show. He led her through the sea of people. She stumbled here and there, but kept smiling, as if this were the highlight of the night. Around them, shouts, flashing lights, the smell of liquor and overheated bodies. But at the end of the hallway, a door waited. Another reality. Tyler pushed it open, and the noise behind them dulled instantly, muffled as if sealed by thick walls. The VIP room greeted them with the glow of soft lamps, cushioned sofas, and a haze of tobacco. The music seeped in only faintly, like a distant hum. Vanessa looked around and smirked. "Wow, it is quiet in here." "It is better here," he said, shutting the door behind them. A second later, they were alone. She dropped onto the couch, crossing her legs, laughing as she leaned back. Her dress had ridden up slightly, but she did not care. Her eyes sparkled with a cocktail of rum, tequila, and recklessness. Tyler poured her another drink from the bottle on the table, handed it over. She took it, sipped, as if sealing her agreement to keep playing this game. He sat beside her, his eyes tracing her knees, her arms, her lips. Vanessa saw the look and did not look away. She liked being the center of it all, liked being wanted. "You're not afraid?" he asked. She scoffed, running her finger along the rim of the glass. "Afraid? Me? Not tonight. Tonight, I just want to forget everything." He smiled and laid his hand on her thigh. Vanessa did not move it away. Instead, she leaned closer. Tyler tilted toward her, their faces now only a breath apart. The air thickened, heavy like syrup. Words were unnecessary. He slid a finger down her cheek, and she closed her eyes. The dangerous closeness filled the room. Everything outside that door had disappeared. Meanwhile, across the club, Dean was still at the sink, drying his hands, telling himself it was time to get back to his wife. But Vanessa was already laughing, pushing her glass aside, letting Tyler draw closer. She was not thinking about consequences, only about this moment. Too much fire, too few boundaries. The VIP room sealed shut around them, turning into a cage without rules. Dean came back from the bathroom and immediately looked toward the bar. The spot where he left Vanessa was empty. The bartender was wiping down the counter, someone else was ordering shots, but she was not there. He frowned. The crowd was surging, strobe lights flashing, the DJ driving the tempo higher and higher, the whole place moving as one pulsing mass. But her face was nowhere, neither on the dance floor nor on the stools by the bar. "All right," he muttered under his breath. "She probably just got caught up dancing." Dean moved along the bar, scanning the faces. Girls in short dresses, guys clutching bottles, someone filming stories for Instagram, others already struggling to stay on their feet. But Vanessa was nowhere among them. He pushed deeper into the dance floor. Dozens of bodies swayed to the beat, lights catching backs, arms, and faces, but never hers. The longer he searched, the stronger the unease gnawed at him. First, a flicker of worry. Then, real fear. He fought his way toward the edge of the stage, glanced behind a column, even checked the smoking area in the corner. Empty. The thought hit him. She has been drinking hard. She could be walked off with anyone. Dean clenched his jaw. The idea burned like acid. He turned sharply and headed toward security. Two bouncers in black shirts stood at the entrance to a service corridor. One lazily scanned the room. The other fiddled with his radio. "Hey." Dean leaned in, straining his voice over the music. Woman, black dress, shoulder-length hair. "You see her?" One of them gave him a quick look, then nodded toward the back with his chin. "Could be gone to VIP." "With who?" Dean's tone cut like steel. The guy just shrugged, smirking. Lots of people go with someone. Something twisted hard inside Dean. He strode in the direction indicated. The hallway was narrow, dimly lit. The music rumbled faintly now, bass bleeding through the walls like distant thunder. With every step, his footsteps grew louder in his ears, his heartbeat pounding harder. Doors lined the corridor, each marked VIP, all closed. The silence behind them stood in brutal contrast to the roar of the club outside. Dean stopped. 1 second. 2. He felt the dull burn of rage rising in his chest, tangled with a cold, sharp fear. He reached for the nearest handle. On the other side of that door could be anything, and he was ready to see it. The handle gave way, the door creaked, and Dean's world collapsed. The club's music stayed outside, cut off as if someone had flipped a switch. Inside was dim light, the glow of table lamps, the heavy scent of alcohol and smoke. On the couch sat Vanessa, disheveled, flushed, pressed close against Tyler. Her dress had slipped off one shoulder, the thin strap barely clinging. One leg draped over his, their faces nearly touching. Tyler's hand was clamped on her thigh, his smile free of the slightest trace of shame. Dean's vision flared white. For a heartbeat, he could not even breathe, just stared. What the hell is this? His voice tore out, more like a growl than words. Vanessa jolted, but did not pull away. Instead, she leaned back against the couch, took a slow sip from the glass in her hand, and turned lazily toward her husband. "Why are you so mad?" she said, her tone brazen, almost mocking. "I am just having fun." Tyler smirked, his hand sliding higher up her thigh. Vanessa did not move it. "Who is he?" Dean stepped closer, his eyes locked on her. "Who the hell is he?" She laughed, tilting her head toward Tyler. "I do not know him, and I do not care." The words landed harder than any punch. "I just want to have a good time, you get it?" she added, her glittering eyes fixed on him. "Everything with you is always so damn serious. I want to live to enjoy myself." Dean felt the rage crawling up his spine, fire he could not hold back. But he kept his eyes on her. "You sitting here with this piece of trash, And you call that fun? Tyler's grin spread wider. Relax, man. She came here on her own. Nobody dragged her. That sentence was the final spark. Vanessa traced her finger along the rim of her glass, deliberately slow, then leaned her head back. Yes, Dean. I came here myself. Because I wanted to. A sharp ringing filled his ears. His chest thundered with every beat. The room shrank to nothing but her, half-dressed, drunk, defiant, and this grinning stranger. Vanessa, Dean said low, almost a whisper. Do you even realize what you've just done? She did not answer, just slid her hand across Tyler's chest, and he leaned closer to her. Dean took a step forward. The lamp beside him shook, casting shifting light across their faces, highlighting every detail of betrayal. And that was it. His world shattered completely. Dean stepped closer, the floor creaking under his weight. Tyler did not budge. Instead, his smirk widened as he draped an arm across the back of the couch behind Vanessa, staking his claim. I said, take your hands off her. Dean's voice was low, laced with steel. And if I do not? Tyler rose lazily, rolling his shoulders. He was slightly taller, but Dean could not care less. A beat of silence. Their eyes locked. Vanessa's gaze darted between them, and the drunken amusement in her expression was gone. The first punch landed without warning. Dean's fist smashed into Tyler's grinning jaw. The dull thud echoed through the room, and Vanessa's glass slipped from her hand, shattering across the floor. Tyler staggered, but did not fall. His face twisted into something animal. He lunged, seizing Dean by the shirt and slamming him against the wall. A lamp rattled on the table, its light skittering across the walls. Dean struck back instantly, an elbow into Tyler's ribs, then a sharp uppercut. Tyler grunted, but held on. They crashed together, overturning the table, bottles smashing, glass scattering like ice across the floor. Stop it! Vanessa screamed, but neither man heard her. The small room roared with their fight. Each blow was more than muscle. It struck at trust, at memories, at the very core of their marriage. Dean fought with the rage of every year he believed in her. Tyler tried to pin him down, but Dean twisted free, rammed his shoulder forward, and sent him sprawling onto the couch. Dean's fist cracked across his nose. Tyler's shirt bloomed red. No one. Dean loomed over him, chest heaving. No one spit to my face. Tyler tried to rise, but Dean shoved him back down, knee pressing hard. Another punch, and Tyler's resistance crumbled. The silence that followed was heavy, broken only by ragged breathing and the ringing in Dean's ears. Vanessa stood in the corner, her hand clamped over her mouth. Her eyes darted wildly, not with guilt, but with fear and bitterness at being caught. Dean straightened slowly. His hands trembled, his knuckles throbbed, but his mind had never been clearer. He looked at his wife, and she dropped her gaze. It's over, he said coldly. We redone. I do not ever want to see you again. He did not wait for her reply. He turned and walked out, leaving her and the beaten man behind in the suffocating half-light of the VIP room. In that moment, he already knew their marriage was finished. The club door slammed shut behind him, and the thundering bass cut off in an instant. Dean paused for a second, drew in a breath of cool night air. The burn in his chest was not from the fight. It was from the realization. It was over. Trust was dead, as if someone had torn a page from the book of his life and set it on fire right in front of him. He pulled out his phone, checked the screen. A few missed calls from friends, one from work. None for Vanessa. And that felt fitting. Even now, she had no thought for him. Dean slipped the phone back into his pocket and walked down the sidewalk. Slow, steady steps. He did not look back. Not at the doors of the club. Not at the noise behind them. Not at the walls where he left his wife with her new companion. Each step echoed with a single clear thought. He was free. Free from the lies, the endless promises of just a little longer and things will change, from the drinking from this night. The cost of freedom was high, but there was no other road. Inside the club, Vanessa still sat on the couch. Her glass tipped over, her dress slipping off her shoulder, makeup smeared. Tyler held a rag to his bleeding face, cursing under his breath. She stared at the floor, the thrill of the night gone in an instant. What replaced it was emptiness, sticky, heavy, like the hangover waiting for her at dawn. She tried to convince herself it was just a slip, a reckless moment, something that could be explained. But deep down she knew no. He would never forgive this. That door slamming behind Dean had not been a pause. It was the end. The night crawled towards sunrise. Cars passed, headlights reflecting in the puddles. Dean walked straight ahead, shoulders squared. He felt every scrape on his hands, every sting in his knuckles, and that was fine. The pain kept him from thinking, pushed him forward. He did not know what tomorrow would bring. Divorce papers, court, cold conversations through lawyers, the splitting of property. It all flickered in his mind like scenes from a film where he already had the lead role. But one thing he knew for certain, there was no way back. In the days that followed, Vanessa unraveled. She told herself it could all be fixed, blamed the alcohol, the heat of the moment. I did not think, I did not mean it. She called, sent long messages, even stood outside his house, hoping to catch his eye. Dean, please let us talk. You have to listen to me. Her voice shifted from pleading to hysterical on the phone. But he never answered. The phone stayed silent. The door never opened. His decision was cold and final. He cut off the marriage without hesitation. In court, he spoke briefly, without emotion, as if reading out a sentence. This was betrayal. And it irreversible. Vanessa tried, sobbing right there in the courtroom, begged the judge to give them a chance, but it sounded pathetic. Dean acted ruthlessly. He took everything, the house, the car, the accounts. She was left with nothing, not out of spite, not to humiliate her, but because he saw no reason to share even a piece of his work, his life, with a traitor. When the judge read the ruling, Vanessa finally understood that this was not some scene, some drunken drama. This was the end. Cold. Final. Dean left the courtroom first, without a glance back. She sat frozen on the bench, eyes red, hands empty. For her, emptiness and an endless string of what-ifs. For him, a new life, free of the past. He had placed the period that became her sentence. And that where today story ends. Thank you for watching to the end. If you enjoyed it, do not forget to like and comment. We'd love to discuss this story with you. See you in the next video.